Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is August 15th, 2025, and Hansi Flick has given statements during his pre-match press conference where he expressed his discontent with the current situation. Also, Barcelona earning 11 million euros today. I'm going to tell you how. And finally, change of plans with Inaki Pena. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Oh, man. I'm having so many technical problems today. Anyways, forget it. There's no intro song. Let's just start with the news. I'm going to tell you guys what just happened to me. It's been a crazy, crazy day. Why this podcast started so late and why you can see that powered by StreamYard logo in the corner. So my StreamYard subscription was a 1-year long subscription. It finally expired, but I forgot that it expired yesterday. So today when I went to set the stream, it wasn't working. This is why you might have seen a stream, initial stream that got deleted, then a new stream. I try to find new software real quick before we start. I couldn't find one on time, so I'm using the StreamYard free version. This is why you see this the logo in the corner, and this is why it's not letting me play the intro song. But anyways, tonight I'm gonna spend the rest of the night finding new streaming software because, as I've told you a million times, StreamYard is garbage. Garbage. If you ever hope to stream in your life, do not use StreamYard. And definitely don't make the mistake I made, which I paid a 1-year subscription. That was really, really stupid. But anyways, this is the final day I'll be using StreamYard. I'm using the free version now that it expired yesterday. But don't worry, I'll have a new stream software for tomorrow and the rest of life, I guess. Anyways, let's start with the news. The first segment of news, as always, is multiple bits of news all combined together. It started with, of course, that tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, is officially the kickoff of La Liga season. I cannot wait. Tomorrow, Barcelona will face off against Mallorca. And don't forget, watch along. Every single match of this season, there will be a watch along as long as the match is on the weekend. Because, of course, during the week, I work. But anyways, today the team trained for the last time ahead of tomorrow's match against Mallorca, which, of course, will be an away match. And I cannot wait to see that match. Now, as far as tomorrow's match, we do know who the referee will be. And it's going to be Munuera Montero. La Liga announcing that that's going to be the ref for tomorrow's match between Barcelona and Mallorca. Of course, this is the same ref that dared to apply the rules to Real Madrid and gave Jude Bellingham a red card. And after that, well, they almost crucified him for doing that. So that's going to be our ref tomorrow. And this is part, of course, of La Liga's new policy of releasing the name of the ref one day before the match. Because before, they used to announce all the refs for the entire weekend on Thursdays. So by Thursdays, you knew every single ref for every single match. And, of course, that gave Real Madrid TV plenty of time to start, creating videos about whatever ref they got to make it look like, oh, that ref is against them. He's corrupt. He's terrible because, can you imagine Real Madrid being a victim of refereeing? But anyways, in order to combat that, La Liga will now announce a referee of every match the day before that match to try to combat this whole Real Madrid campaign of putting pressure on referees through their Real Madrid TV, which, as I said before when I announced that news, I think it's a pretty terrible decision. I mean, I'm glad they're doing something, but the way to combat it is to send Real Madrid a letter, be like, hey, don't do this. If you do, we're going to sanction you. They do it, you fine them. They do it again, they fine them. And you keep finding them until they stop doing it. But instead, they're going with these, we'll announce the ref the day before. Coward shit. Because unfortunately, La Liga don't have the balls, or the Royal Spanish Football Federation don't have the balls to tell Real Madrid, stop with the bullshit. So instead, they're implementing this solution, I guess. But anyways, speaking of tomorrow's match, of course, the big question is, will Joan Garcia be playing? And Barcelona have assured that Joan Garcia has been registered. As you know, La Liga's medical committee have confirmed Mark ter Stegen's injury, which opened the door for Barcelona to register Joan Garcia in the place of Mark ter Stegen. And Barcelona were set to, present all the paperwork to La Liga. Barcelona earlier today stating that they had submitted everything and that they expected Joan Garcia to be registered. And in the late hours, they said that yes, Joan Garcia has been registered. Now, I've been checking La Liga's website and I've been refreshing it. This has not popped up. It does not seem on the website that Joan Garcia is registered. It's only showing Mark ter Stegen and Inaki Pena. But of course, there could be, a delay where whoever's in charge of updating the website maybe hasn't done it. They do have a holiday in Spain, so maybe that's why. But right now, the club's saying that yes, Joan Garcia has been registered, but again, no official confirmation through La Liga's website. Of course, hopefully he is registered because tomorrow is the match, and we need Joan Garcia registered. Now, in regards to Marcus Rashford, Hansi Flick has requested that he wants Rashford registered for tomorrow's match. Barcelona have also submitted paperwork to get Marcus Rashford registered. In the late hours, Barcelona have also confirmed to the press that Rashford has been registered. Again, I'm not 100% sure because La Liga's website is not showing us anything. So I guess the only way to be 100% sure is tomorrow when they announce the lineup. If we see Joan Garcia and Marcus Rashford on the list of players called up to the match, then we'll know it's official. But for now, the club saying that yes, Joan Garcia and Rashford have been registered, but La Liga's website have not yet updated it. Now, I'm going to keep refreshing it and have the website pulled up. So who knows? Maybe they'll update it while this podcast is going on. I doubt it, of course, because it's, what time is it there? I think like 2 a.m. or something like that. But anyways, now one player who will not be part of the squad tomorrow is, of course, Marc Bernal, because even though he has gotten the medical clearance to play, as you know, the club want to be extra cautious with him, and they want to wait the full year from his surgery. So that means that Bernal will miss the first 3 fixtures of La Liga, and he's not going to be cleared to play. He's been cleared by the doctors, but not by the training staff until after the FIFA international break. Because as you know, there are going to be 3 fixtures all away, then FIFA international break, and then the 4th fixture will be against Valencia at home. That's when Barcelona will hope to be back at the Camp Nou, and that's where Hansi Flick and his staff will consider or will allow Marc Bernal to get minutes. Whether he gets minutes right away, we'll see, but he's not going to be playing until after the international break. All right, let's do the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Hansi Flick's statements. Let's see. And again, for those of you who are joining now, doing this with the free version of StreamYard. This is why you're seeing the logo of StreamYard, and this is why you're not seeing the Barca News logo. Let me see. Yeah, it definitely doesn't add me. It doesn't even let me play the song. Look at that. Anyways, all right, let's see what everybody's saying in the comment section, and then we will talk about Hansi Flick's statements. Shin said video removed by uploader and poof all pre-podcast comments gone. Yeah, that's actually, I did that not to remove the comments, but like I said, I was having difficulties because my StreamYard subscription had expired, so I created a stream using YouTube, the YouTube Studio. And then I couldn't find software on time, so then I decided to use StreamYard for free, and then StreamYard, in order to go live, you have to create the podcast from the StreamYard platform, not from YouTube. So I had to create a second one from the StreamYard platform and then delete the one I had created from the YouTube platform. So I apologize about that. Anyone had left comments before the podcast had started, please drop them now. I'll make sure to read them. Pedri says, Pedri, what are you doing, bro? You're supposed to be asleep tomorrow. You got a match against Mallorca. Like, why are you here, bro? Pedri says, unpopular opinion, Fermin Lopez finishes the season with more goals and assists than any top midfielder in the world. I don't know about anyone in the world, but I can see Fermin Lopez putting up numbers this season, but I don't know about any top one in the world. I think that's a little bit pushing it. I hope so, of course. I hope so, because at the end of the day, if that means he put up more goals and assists than any other midfielder, that means the team, did amazing, and if the team did amazing, that's all I want, right? And John D says, why don't you use OBS? I do use OBS. I use OBS to film videos, but not to stream, because I have yet to figure it out. OBS is very complicated. It's not really user-friendly. You have to download so many plugins and install the plugins, and it's just too much work for setting up a stream. With my lack of time, because I work full time and life and chores and everything, I rather spend that time on doing the research and preparing the content for you guys than spend it, tinkering away at OBS. Ronaldo says Trincao deal gives Barca 11 million for Sporting Lisbon. So Barca have no more sell-on clause. New Master says what's up, Mo? I wanted to ask, in 5 years, who do you think how the starting 11 would look? Bro, I don't even know what the starting 11 is going to be tomorrow. You want me to guess in 5 years? Like, that's a little bit too much. She says, let's do this, my brother. Glad to hear you sounding much better than Wednesday. Got my kits all cleaned, organized, and ready for the show until mañana. I'm really looking forward to it. Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm going to send you the link tonight. If you guys don't know what Shin is talking about, if you're a channel member, every Saturday there's a podcast just for channel members. It's called the MoCast. And starting tomorrow, I'm going to have a channel member as a guest on the channel every Saturday. So if you want to watch the MoCast, or if you want to be a guest on the MoCast, you can do so by becoming a channel member. Oh, and Shin's going to be the first channel guest tomorrow. Cherno says, hi, Mo, watching from the Gambia. Thank you very much for helping us get reliable news for our beloved club. Thank you, my friend, for watching. And then one more comment, and then we'll go back to the news. Umaru says, Barcelona, here we go. Asia Conte, Sierra Leone, West Africa. Here we go, my friend. Yes, the season starts tomorrow. Let's go. Anyways, so let's get back to the news because, as usual, before every match, Hansi Flick participated in the pre-match press conference, the first one of the season. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Summers are so depressing for me because there's no club football, and I'm so happy to be back. But let's talk about Hansi Flick's press conference because the Barcelona coach expressed his unhappiness or discontent with the current registration situation when he said the following. For me, it's a situation that doesn't make me too happy. I trust the club. We have to wait until tomorrow. Last season was like that too. We're focusing what's in our hands. So, of course, Flick expressing his discontent. He's not happy about this whole, is Joan Garcia going to be registered? Is he not? Is Rashford? Is Bargi? Is Gerard Martí? Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, he's not happy, especially because, again, like he said, this is the second season that it happens, actually the third season in a row, but obviously he wasn't there for the third season. But yeah, last season, same thing with Pau Victor and Dani Olmo. They started the season not being registered. They started the second half season not registered. So obviously Flick not too happy, but at the end of the day saying, hey, I trust the club. That's their job. I trust them to do their job. Me as a coach, I can only worry about what I can control, which has been a theme of Hansi Flick, right? It's been a theme all throughout last season in his press conferences. He only wants to talk and concern himself with things that he can control, right? The refs, the grass, the weather, the injuries, that's not something he can control. So he only focuses on what he can control. And of course, registrations, that's one of them. So Flick, not happy, but kind of following the same line of thinking is that he only concerns himself with things that he has control over him. Now, Hansi Flick was asked about what he hopes to improve on this season and from last season. And this is what the Blaugrana coach had to say. Let me see. There we go. We'll see what happens in this second season. We're working very hard, and the quality of training is what I expect. The 3 titles are not the end. We have to progress. We focus on winning every game. We have to win as we train. This winning mentality is what I want. We're on the right track. So Flick, of course, saying, hey, we got to continue working, right? Yes, we won 3 trophies last season, but that's last season. This season is a brand new season. It's a long season, and we're going to have to win one match at a time, work hard, have a winning mentality in order to continue progressing. And this is kind of like what people used to say, well, Xavi won La Liga. I was like, okay, so what? That's it? We stop because we won La Liga season? All right, cool. I won La Liga. Now we go to the beach and just take a nap on the sand? No. Every season is a new season, and every season you have to compete for everything, and every season there's an expectation of you to compete for everything. You don't just get to say, well, I won La Liga that one season, remember? No. Every season is a brand new one, and you have to continue progressing, getting better, competing, and continue to win. And that's exactly what Hansi Flick's winning mentality is. Something that, unfortunately, a lot of our fans do not have. But thankfully, they're fans, not players. Otherwise, we would be screwed. Now, Hansi Flick was asked about the goalkeepers, starting with Joan Garcia. And this is what the Barcelona coach had to say. Juan Garcia, he's a fantastic. Why does it keep happening? I hate StreamYard. See what I mean? He's fantastic as a goalkeeper. Chesney too. He supports all the players. I'm happy with the situation I have in goals. As far as Ter Stegen, he says the most important thing is that we talk together and that he can return to playing at the very high level he is capable of. He has to recover and come back. That's the most important thing. We want him to be able to help the team. We're on his side. So breaking it down, first with what he said about Juan Garcia and Tech, he's saying that he's happy with the situation because both Juan Garcia and Wojciech Szczesny are great goalkeepers. And of course, as far as Ter Stegen saying, the important thing is that we all have to talk to each other, and he's happy that the club and Ter Stegen talked. Remember that? I kept saying, hey, what if they talk? No, Mo, the club is not supposed to, not obligated. Like, who would have thought? Who would have thought sitting down and talking would solve problems? Well, Flick thinks so too. And then, of course, Flick saying that, he wants Ter Stegen to recover so he can come back and help the team, because right now, of course, he's going to be out for the entire first half of the season. Now, speaking of injuries, Flick was asked about Marc Bernal, and of course, I did cover it in the intro of at the beginning of this podcast, and this is what the Blaugrana coach had to say. When he got injured, the doctors told me it would take longer because of his age. It's his career, and he'll have 15 more years. We have to prepare him for the next 15 years. If it takes a few more weeks, that's fine. He's on the right track. We'll see him soon. So this is kind of confirming what I told you earlier, that Marc Bernal, the club are going to, even though he has gotten the medical clearance to play, the club are going to wait until it's been full year since his surgery. So he's not going to be cleared by Flick and his staff until after the FIFA international break, because the club want to be extra cautious with him. Like Flick said, he has 15 years of his career ahead of him. What's another 2 or 3 weeks extra? Rather than rush him back, he gets injured, and now you ruin the rest of his career. It's better to wait a few more weeks so he could play 15 years than rush him now, and then he could end up, missing out on those 15 years because you were too in a hurry to bring him back. And finally, the last thing I want to cover with Flick's statement is he was asked, is he worried? Iñigo Martinez just left. Now he's one center back down. So is he worried about that? And this is what Flick had to say. No, to be honest, no. Gerard can also play in this position, and that's something I really appreciate. He played fantastically this season and has also done well as a central defender this preseason. So Flick not worried. Of course, Flick was very sad that Iñigo Martinez left, but at the end of the day, not worried, because not only does he have several options, he also has Gerard Martin, who can also play as a left-footed center back, and did a pretty good job during the preseason. So those are all the statements I wanted to cover from Hansi Flick's press conference. He talked about other things, of course. If you want to see it, you could go onto the channels, the club's channel, but those were kind of like the highlights of the statements that I wanted to cover. Of course, I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you think about Flick's statements ahead of tomorrow's match? Let me know in the chat section or in the comment section if you're watching this once it ends. And let's go back to the comments or to the chat. James says, hello, Mo. Has Juan Garcia and Marcus Rashford registered? The club have said that yes, but I have been checking the website and it hasn't updated. Doesn't mean that they're not registered. Maybe the website is just not up to date. But I cannot say 100%, right? Because, the club could say that they're registered. Anyone could say that they're registered, but unless La Liga actually registers them, we cannot know for sure. And right now, the website is not updated, or it's not showing anything. So I cannot say 100%. Again, they could be registered, and the website just not up. They haven't updated it, but I cannot say 100%. I guess we're gonna have to wait for tomorrow. In fact, let's look up the website together so we can see if it has updated. We're gonna share screen. Again, I showed you this, guys, before. If you go to laliga.com, you go to clubs right here. Why is this so zoomed in? What the hell is this? There we go. Here are all the clubs. You click on FC Barcelona. And wait, what is this? This is not the first team. Hold on. We got to click here on La Liga clubs. There we go. This is La Liga, actually, like first division. All right, so here we go. If you scroll down, as you can see, Juan Garcia does not appear as registered. Again, this could be just that the La Liga has not updated the website, but right now it only shows Inaki and Ter Stegen as the 2 goalkeepers. And then they have removed Inigo. He's no longer here amongst the defenders. He was after he agreed to leave, but then they finally updated it. He's not here. And if you scroll all the way down to the forwards, you don't see Marcus Rashford. Again, this could be just that La Liga have not updated their website, but the club are assuring that both have been registered. That both Joan Garcia and what's his name, Marcus Rashford, have been registered. All right, let's see. GT Mastro says, "Hey Mo, been Asia's man. Please, this is unrelated, but do you think El Cholo is the reason for Atletico's mediocre level, given the kind of resources at his disposal for the transfer market? Cheers." I think El Cholo does play a part in it because every team eventually outgrows their coach, right? And eventually every team needs like fresh ideas. Like we've seen even with Pep, the greatest coach ever. We saw how last season with Man City just completely imploded. So I do think teams eventually do need new coach, a new injection of ideas, fresh ideas. So maybe that's why, but I can't tell. I can't say for sure because, I'm not an Atletico Madrid fan. I'm not someone that watches Atletico Madrid. I only watch them when they play against Barca. So, watching them twice a year doesn't really, maybe 3 or 4 times if they end up playing Copa del Rey against us or Spanish Super Cup. But, I can't say for sure because, I don't watch them that closely. Wisdom says, "Morning, Mo. Kunde renewed. He was already our highest earning defender. Just want to know his new salary. I just hope it's not another case where we are offering 20 to 40% higher than market salary." I'm going to talk about Jules Kunde in my next video. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Scalia says, "Right now, I'm not seeing Rashford in the projected lineup, but I do see Joan Garcia. It's not looking good for Rashi for tomorrow, but we'll see." Yeah, I think it's going to be like, assuming, of course, that Rashford does get registered on time. And my feeling is that maybe Ferran is going to start ahead of him for tomorrow, just because Ferran, has been around the team a lot longer. He's earned the trust of Flick. He did great last season. He did well in the preseason too. He scored like 2 goals in the last match. Was it Daegu? So I think Ferran will end up starting ahead of him, but I think with time, eventually Rashford will get ahead of Ferran Torres. And we do have our first donation of tonight. Let's go. Nathan Forts. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. Says, "Hi, Mo. What does Crow take us so long to say yes?" Because when you audit an organization as big as Barcelona, it takes a lot of time. And, Crow is not just going to go check the seats and be like, "All right, cool." No, they're going to do a full audit, right? And to do a full audit, you have to go through everything, all the bank accounts, every single transaction Barcelona has done, every receipt, everything. And we're not just talking about signing and selling players. We're talking about every transaction the club has done. If Laporta is being driven in the club's vehicle and they put gas in that vehicle, that's something that the auditor goes through. Every little thing, electric bills, water, telephone, internet, janitorial services, money they spend on toilet paper, on towels, on detergent to wash the towels. Like every little spending that the club does, the auditor has to go through it line by line. And when you're talking about an organization as big as Barcelona that earns close to €1 billion a year and spends close to that, you're talking about a lot of receipts, all the way from, paying 60 million for a player all the way down to, the president went for coffee and he put the coffee on the club's credit card because it was business related, right? Everything. Audits take a long time. It's not something you do overnight. Tony says, "Hey Mo, when, if Juan and Marcos are registered, would we know if it's their season or until the next trade window winter?" So Barcelona have until the end of the summer transfer market to register their players. Any club does, right? If you don't get to register them by the end of the summer transfer market, Yes, you have to wait until the winter. In fact, this already happened. Alex Collado. Was Alex Collado? Yeah, Alex Collado. Or no, what was the other guy? Not Alex Collado. Was it Alex Collado? I think it was Alex Collado. He spent half a season unregistered. Barcelona were not able to register him, and he just spent half a season on the just training. Wasn't able to even be on the bench. But of course, because it wasn't a big name, nobody made a big fuss. Nobody really cared. But yes, Marshall, stop. Sorry, my dog is barking at something. Alexis says, what do you think about Tottenham preparing a 70 million offer for Olmo? Personally, I would take it, would make profit and free up the midfield for Gavi and Fermin to get more minutes plus 1-1. I don't know if the 70 million would get us to the 1-1, but would I take it? 100%. 100%. I've always said that signing Olmo was not something that the club needed to do. They spent 60 million on a position that was not only covered, but it was over covered. We had too many players. So if you already have too many players for a position, the natural thing is to offload players, not to bring someone else, right? So again, and this is not a knock at Dani Olmo. Anytime I say this, people are like, "Wow, Dani Olmo's good. What are you talking about?" It's like, I'm not saying that he sucks. He's a great player, but did we need him? And the answer is no. Imagine if Barcelona went right now and signed another goalkeeper. Would that make sense? No. It doesn't matter how good that goalkeeper is. It wouldn't make sense because right now we have 4. That's kind of like what Barcelona did with Dani Olmo. We already had that position stacked. We didn't need another one, and they went and brought someone else. So would I sell him for 70 mil? Absolutely. We would get our money back plus some profit. And, like you said, it opens up space for Fermin, for Gavi, players who cost us nothing. But that's not going to happen. Flick is not going to green light Olmo being sold. The only way that would happen if Olmo actually said, I want to leave, then the club would do it. But Flick is never going to green light that. Anyways, let's get back to the news because I do have good news. Good news, and that good news is in regards to Francisco Trincao because, ladies and gentlemen, Barcelona have sold his rights for 11 million euros. And this is huge because A, Barcelona need the money given our financial situation, and B, because there was a little bit of concern, right? Barcelona owned 50% of the rights of Francisco Trincao. They were monitoring the situation because there were plenty of clubs in Europe who were trying to sign him, and Barcelona were kind of like rubbing their hands, waiting for that signing to happen, hoping that a club would come and pay, 40, 50, 60 million for him because half of that would be for Barcelona. But it started to look more and more that Francisco Trincao was going to stay at Sporting CP. And of course, if he stayed, Barcelona, they weren't going to make any money because they would only make half of whatever transfer fee a club pays for him. And if nobody pays the transfer fee and he stays at Sporting CP, Barcelona would make 0. And well, lo and behold, today, Sporting CP announcing that they have purchased the 50% of rights that Barcelona owned in Francisco Trincao for 11 million euros. And this is what the statement read. Again, this is an official statement by Sporting CP stating the following. Sporting Club has reached an agreement with FC Barcelona regarding the purchase of 50% of the economic rights of the player Francisco Trincao for an amount of 11 million euros. As a result, Sporting Club now owns 100% of the economic rights of the aforementioned player. It is also announced that Sporting Club will not bear any fees related to intermediary services. I hadn't paid attention to that last part, but you read that, Barcelona? How about we stop giving away money to intermediary services? 50 million euros to the guy who helped us negotiate the Nike deal. 50. Crazy. But anyways, so that's the official statement from Sporting CP. Barcelona also published their own official statement, but it didn't include any numbers. It simply said, we have sold the rights of Francisco Trincao to Sporting CP, but Sporting CP actually confirming the numbers. So this is not a rumor. This is not speculation. This is 100% verified. Barcelona have made 11 million euros from the sale of 50% of the rights of Francisco Trincao. Now, Barcelona had already earned 10 million when they transferred him to Sporting CP. So 10 million at first, 11 million now. That's 21 million euros for Francisco Trincao. Not a bad deal, not a great one because we paid more. I think we paid 30 something. But nonetheless, it was not a good signing. This is one of those bad signings by Bartomeu. But at least we got some of our money back. So those 11 millions, of course, get added to the 75 million euros that Barcelona have already made this summer. I made a video yesterday detailing how Barcelona have generated 75 million. It's a combination of freed up salaries, transfer fees, and also money from players' rights that Barcelona owned. So 75 million that Barcelona had already generated, plus this 11, that puts us at 86, 86 million euros that Barcelona have generated so far. Hopefully this 11 million euros could help Barcelona register some of its players. And of course, we're going to have to wait and see. Again, we still don't have 100% confirmation of whether Joan Garcia and Rashford have been registered. The club have said yes, but La Liga's website has not updated yet. So we're going to have to wait for tomorrow's match. All right, let's do more comments. And then, by the way, I'm wondering if Sport NCT did this as a strategy, because I think Man U wanted to pay 40 or 50 for Trincao, which we would have gotten half, 25. And maybe Sport NCP started saying, hey, he's going to renew. Hey, since he's going to renew, how about you just sell me his rights for 11? I mean, you're not going to make anything because he's going to renew. And now that they have 100% of the rights, I wonder if they'll turn around and be like, psych, we're selling him for 50. So now we make the full 50 because we have 100% of his rights. I don't know. That could be. Hopefully not, because otherwise I think it would make us look pretty dumb, but hopefully not. Anthony says, I watched the Portuguese league, and for 50% of the rights to be sold for 11 million is a steal. That guy will be sold for at least 50 mil. Source, trust me, bro. Let's hope not, because otherwise that means they pulled a fast one on us. Let's see. Leo Ford says, hey, Mo, what's your view on the registry issue that the entire La Liga is facing due to the FFP Tebas is implemented? It's unfortunate. La Liga have some of the strictest financial fair play rules in Europe, and we've seen the effects that they're having on smaller clubs, where smaller clubs are having to, sell players, young, talented, upcoming players, because they cannot afford to register their players. So that's a big problem, and that's thanks, of course, to Javier Tebas and his terrible management of La Liga. It also has to do with, he really did rob them when he did I'm forgetting the company. He did that deal where this investor bought 50% of the TV rights of all clubs in exchange of 2 billion euro injection into La Liga, which was supposed to, they distributed the money based on the club's, percentage TV viewership. And that money was supposed to go to the club so they can, invest it into their infrastructure and sign players, and it's supposed to make all the clubs better and richer and more successful. But instead, it has not worked like that. In fact, now clubs are struggling even more because, they sold half of their TV rights. So that's half of their income. And what they got in exchange was just not worth it. And of course, thankfully, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Athletic Club, plus someone from second division, said no to that deal. Thank God, because otherwise, us as a club, it would have been also in that shitty deal, which hasn't worked out for anyone except probably for Javier Tebas, who I'm sure made a nice commission out of that deal. Shin says, completely hypothetical. If money wasn't at all an issue and we were safely under the 1-to-1 rule, as a fan, would you feel any regret over us getting Garcia only to find out Donnarumma will be available this summer? Well, thank you, my friend, for your generosity. No, I don't think so, no. Donnarumma, great goalkeeper. But, I mean, there's a reason why Luis Enrique is getting rid of him, right? And it's not because he's a bad goalkeeper. He's just simply not the profile that Luis Enrique wants. And what's the profile that Luis Enrique wants? Same thing that what Flick wants in his goalkeepers, or Barca want in their goalkeepers. Someone who's good with his feet, right? Someone who can build from the back. Someone that can break lines with their passes. And that's something that most goalkeepers do not know how to do, right? Most goalkeepers get trained at, being a goalkeeper, blocking shots, 1-to-1 with other with attackers, things like that, penalty, whatever, free kicks, being a goalkeeper. That's what most goalkeepers learn how to do, is be a goalkeeper. Very few goalkeepers are good with their feet. Very few goalkeepers are good at, building from the back, doing great accurate passes that break lines, playing with high lines. That's something that most goalkeepers don't know how to do. We saw how Szczesny struggled, and we're talking about Szczesny. He's been, a top 10, top 15 goalkeeper in Europe. Someone that's played in big clubs, someone that's competed at every level in every competition, and he still came to Barcelona. And at first, he looked like he had never been a goalkeeper his entire life, because it's a completely different scheme. So Donnarumma, doesn't fit that profile that Luis Enrique wants, so that's why he's getting rid of him. So he would definitely not fit what Hansi Flick is looking for either. So no, I think in Joan Garcia, we got a really good goalkeeper, someone with very quick reflexes, someone that looks really good, promising with his feet. He had some pretty impressive, a few impressive passes here and there in the preseason. Of course, we'll see more as La Liga progresses, but so far, I think we made a good signing. So no, I wouldn't regret signing Joan Garcia because Donnarumma is available. But thank you for your donation, my friend. And Glenn says, why can't all teams just team up and get La Liga moving in a direction to compete against the English league financially? That's a good question, my friend. Unfortunately, I do not know the answer. And Alexi says company was CVC. Thank you. I was blanking on that. Yes, the investor was CVC. They injected 2 billion euros into La Liga in exchange for 50% of the TV rights of all clubs that agreed to the deal, which is, did not work out as Javier Tebas sold it, right? He was like, it's best deal ever. Everybody's going to be rich and everybody's going to have state-of-the-art stadiums and everybody's going to sign their own Mbappe, and that's not how it worked. Edward says, hi, Mo, can you tell me what the Spanish 4th is? Is it part-timers like cab drivers on a stipend, or is it players from top tiers on real money? It's technically, I think, semi-pro. I don't know if it's cab drivers, but it's definitely not that competitive, or as competitive, I guess. But it's technically considered semi-pro. So no, it's not a recreational league. So I don't think it's gonna be full of taxi drivers. But it's gonna be mostly either youngsters who are coming up to the system, or older players. And I mean older, not like old, but like not teenagers, who are just maybe not good enough to cut it in higher divisions. So yeah. Let me see. Ahmad says, any news on Rooney Bargi? Not that I know of. I think he still is unregistered, but I'm not too worried about Rooney because he is a Barca Athletic player. And, to register a Barca Athletic player is much easier than to register a first-team player. And let's do one more comment, and then we'll get back to the news. But Adrian says, Mo, good morning. Watching you live from Zambia. Has truly my and our club registered Rash and Garcia? Yes, that's what the club has confirmed to the press, that they have been registered. But like I've been saying throughout the stream, it's not updated on the website, so I cannot say for sure. Again, this could just be that La Liga have not updated it just because they haven't gotten to it, or not. But I cannot say for sure. But the club has said that yes, both players have been registered. But I guess we'll know for sure tomorrow, or in your case today, since it's already Saturday in Zambia. We'll know for sure once the match begins against Mallorca, or even before, like 2 hours before is when they release the squad. We'll see. All right, let's do the last bit of news, and then we'll do more comments. But let's talk about Inaki Pena, because right now Barcelona have a change of plans with the Barcelona goalkeeper. Now, as you know, the agreement was for Inaki Pena to leave this summer. Hansi Flick did not count on him. In fact, he didn't count on him last season. He was the goalkeeper during the first half of the season when Ter Stegen got injured. But as soon as Wojciech Szczesny got back into competitive rhythm, Hansi Flick opted for Szczesny over Inaki, even though Inaki did do a good job. So with, of course, with Joan Garcia being signed, with Ter Stegen still at the club, and with Szczesny being ahead of him, the club told Inaki, hey, it's best that you leave. Flick doesn't count on you. Inaki decided that, yes, it is better if I leave because I'm not going to get the minutes I need here. So it was all agreed upon that Inaki would leave this summer. Barcelona were still holding on to him until they registered Joan Garcia because, if Joan Garcia wasn't registered tomorrow, we would have no goalkeeper. But now that Joan Garcia is registered, or at least that's what we've been told, of course, we revert back to the plan of offloading Inaki Pena. But now it seems that there is a change of plans. So far, the clubs who have been interested in Inaki Pena have only been interested in signing him as a free agent, which means that Barcelona would have to rescind the contract of Inaki, and they would have to pay him either the full salary or if he agrees to something less. And Barcelona are now considering that maybe a better alternative is, instead of rescinding the contract of Inaki and letting him leave free, then maybe it would be better to extend his contract, because his contract expires next summer. Extend his contract, send him out on loan, and that way his value can go up, right? If he goes somewhere else where he could be the starting goalkeeper, play the entire season, show his quality, show his capability, maybe his value would go up. And then next summer, instead of letting him go for free, we could actually make some money off him. So that's the plan. Barcelona are now seriously considering. They had floated the idea of doing this, but now it's become a very serious option. So don't be surprised if we see an announcement from the club saying Inaki Pena has been renewed. It's not because Barcelona now all of a sudden want to keep him. It's just so they can loan him out. His value can go up, and then next summer we can sell him for at least something. All right, that is all the news for this podcast. Let's do more comments, and then I'm going to do the video. This time, I will do the video. I know last Wednesday when the podcast was ending, I said, I'm going to upload a video, and I didn't. That's because I was sick. I was so tired. I just ended up passing out. I slept. I just knocked out. But today, I am. Trust me, I am, because there's still lots of news. In fact, I have my notes here. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 more things I need to cover. So there's definitely another video coming up. So stay tuned to the channel, my friends. Stay tuned to the channel. All right, let's see what everybody's saying, and then we'll end this. But Wu says, yo, Mo, big fan. I'd like us to be a selling club and ruthless at it, not to the extent of Chelsea, but we need not to take this like a daycare. I disagree with that assessment, because there's two type of clubs. There's selling clubs and there's buying clubs. Buying clubs buy players because they're in the business of winning. Selling clubs sell players because they're in the business of making money. A selling club would be, oh, Lamine Yamal, we signed him when he was a kid for free. Now he's a star. Let's sell him for 250 or 150 or 180, whatever. Pedri, we signed him for 10 mil. Now he's a star. Let's sell him for 120. Kouarsi, we signed him for free as a kid. Now he's a star. Let's sell him for 80. That's what a selling club does. Do I want to be that? To put it lightly, fuck no. Because if we start selling all these players just to make money, we're not going to win anything. Right? That's what selling clubs are. Selling clubs are not in the business of winning. Selling clubs are in the business of developing players to sell them at a high profit, or signing young kids for free, developing them, and selling them at a high profit, or of course buying them on the low and selling them for a high profit. That's not what Barcelona is. Barcelona, if they develop a player, it's so he can stay for as long as he can, so it can help us win trophies. If we sign someone, it's so he can stay and help us win trophies. We don't sign people, we don't develop players just to sell them for a profit. So do I want to be a selling club? The answer is fuck no. Do I want to be a Valencia or a Benfica or Ajax or fuck no. I want to be Barcelona. I want to be FC Barcelona, a club that competes for everything, a club that wins trophies, not a club that sells all their players just so they can make money. So yeah. Shin says, great example of a selling club is without a doubt Borussia Dortmund. Yeah, exactly. These clubs that just, they develop players and they sell them to make money. Do I want to be that? Fuck no. I'd much rather win the Champions League than just be a mediocre club that is rich. Let's see. What else? What else? Damn it. This thing moved on me. Hola Kunle says, "Hey Mo, I heard at this as at this morning, 158 players from La Liga are still yet to be registered. I saw a comment that Levante only have 3 players registered. How true is that? That was, I think, 2 days ago. I don't know if that's still true as of today. But I'm sure there's some clubs still don't have registered players. Unfortunately, these smaller clubs are just really, really struggling under these financial fair play and under this terrible CVC deal. So yeah, I don't know the exact number. This was the number 2 days ago. I'm sure more players have been registered because a lot of clubs wait until towards the end to register their players. So I'm sure the number has changed, but I'm also sure that there's still players that have not been registered yet. And Choo, my man, says, so Pena and Romeo still on the Barcelona roster. I didn't see them on the video Barcelona posted. Yes, so Pena, as I mentioned a few moments ago, he's going to be renewed and sent out on loan, or at least that's what Barcelona are seriously considering. As far as Romeo, it's going to be a contract rescission. They're going to reach an agreement, and then he's going to most likely join Girona as a free agent. That's what's going to happen. Omar says, do you think Rashford will get registered in time? The club have said that he's already been registered. Again, La Liga's website has not confirmed that, which, again, it could just be that someone didn't get to it. But supposedly he is. Anthony says, I disagree with you regarding Barca being a non-selling club. I feel like we can still do better in the market with regards to selling our players. Look at Madrid for buy and sell their players better. I'm not saying we shouldn't improve how we sell our players, but that doesn't make you a selling club. Just because you sell players or you sell them for a good price, it doesn't make you a selling club. What makes you a selling club is that your goal is not to win trophies. Your goal is to generate money through the sale of clubs. That's your business model, right? The players become like a commodity, just like, people who flip cars. You buy a car for low, you restore it, and then you sell it for high. That's what a selling club is. You sign a player for low, either because they're very young or maybe because nobody knows who they are yet. You bring them to your academy, you develop them, you turn them into big star, and then you sell them for profit. That's what selling clubs are. Just because you sell your players doesn't make you a selling club. Just because Real Madrid, do a better job of us than us in selling their players, that doesn't make them a selling club. Selling clubs are just in the business of turning a profit from the purchase and sell of the players. That's it. Clubs like Barca, like Madrid, like Liverpool, the big clubs, they're in the business of keeping players. Because if you happen to get a kid and you develop him into a star like Lamine Yamal, you're not going to sell him. You want him to stay for as long as he can so he can help you win trophies. If we were a selling club, we were already sold Lamine last summer because he cost us nothing. And last summer, he was worth 150 already. Hell of a deal. You spend 0, you make 150. That's what a selling club would have done. Selling club would have already sold Cuarci, would have sold Pedri, Balde, Gavi, Fermin, all these players. Fermin, same thing. He didn't cost us anything. You can sell him for 70 million. Pedri cost us 10 mil. You can sell him now for 100 plus. That's what selling clubs do. We don't do that. We keep those players. We want those players to stay, so help us win trophies. So just because you sell clubs doesn't make you a selling club. If you tomorrow you sold your car, that doesn't make you a dealership. It just means you sold your car. Just a Bojan Gel. All right. Oh, no, Bajan. Bojan. Sorry. The problem is that clubs know that we need the money right now. Once Barca's financial status returns to a good place, we'll have more leverage. Maybe, but I still think we could do a much better job than, letting Inigo leave for free or selling Noah Darvish for 1 mil when we paid 2.5 for him. Like, he just spent 2 seasons at the best academy in the world. His value should be up, not down. Or at least break even. At least sell him for 2.5, which is what you bought him for, right? Iman Cospo, 400,000. He's a promising center back. Not as promising, and everybody's making it out to be like, oh my God, the next Maldini. We just sold the next Maldini. But 400,000, are you kidding me? Like, at least sell him for, I don't know, 5. Pablo Torre, yes, we retain 50% of his rights, but 5 mil is still too low for Pablo Torre, at least 10. I mean, we probably left like 20 million on the table, right? And yesterday, when I was breaking down the numbers of how much money Barcelona generated, I made a comment that, how much more money would have made had if Deco wasn't the sporting director. And someone was like, Mo, you're always complaining instead of praising. I was like, oh, my bad. Apparently, like 20 mil is nothing. We should just let our players leave for free because, that's much better than complaining, right? Just let them go for free. Fuck it if we miss out on money. It's not like we need money. It's not like we're struggling financially. It's not like we're struggling to register our players. None of that matters. The important thing is for Mo not to complain. That's what's more important for fans. That Mo doesn't complain. Not that the club is letting players go for free and losing money and struggling financially and can't register the players. Fuck all that. The important thing is for Mo not to complain. That's the important thing. I tell you, man, sometimes. McBarca says, remember Barca promising 1-for-1 rule 2022-2023. Yeah, that's why I have a new rule now with this board. And it's see it to believe it. That's my new rule. If the club says we've registered Juan Garcia and Marcus Rashford, I'm like, cool. I hope that's right. But I'm not going to actually believe it until tomorrow when I see the two of them on the squad list. If they tell us we're going back to the Camp Nou September 14th, great. I hope so. But I'm not actually going to believe it until that weekend comes and I see the players coming out of the tunnel onto the pitch of the Camp Nou. Then I'll believe it. I think that's a much better policy with this board. Chuchu says Araujo is on a make or break season. I don't trust him to get better, but we see. Yeah, definitely. I think this would be his last season. I think if he doesn't impress this season, he can't learn the system, then I think Barcelona should definitely sell him next summer because otherwise, what are we doing? And Barca Mama says, who ultimately makes a decision on price when we sell? The sporting director, so Deco. That's who are in charge of, prices. And she says, thanks, Mo. It's pronounced Beijing. All right. What you call someone from Barbados. Oh, that's pretty cool. I had no idea. So thank you for that. So Beijing. Someone from Barbados is called Beijing. All right. Wait, isn't Rihanna from Barbados? So is she a Beijing girl? She is, right? From Barbados. Anthony says, I could do a better job on Deco after watching a YouTube video on how to manage a club. That guy's killing Barca is Bartholomew reincarnate. Huh? I think I know what you're saying, but I'm not 100% sure. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Again, sorry today for the mix-up at the beginning. My StreamYard subscription expired, and now I'm using the free one. This is why you see the StreamYard logo. But don't worry, tonight I'm going to stay up looking for new streaming software because StreamYard is garbage. And the only reason I was using it is because I signed up for a 1-year subscription. Now it's finally expired. Today I'm using it for free because I didn't have enough time to find new software. But promise by tomorrow, new software coming. Better software that can actually show me when you guys put super chats or emojis or things like that. The StreamYard didn't do it. All right. I will see you guys in the video later tonight. Remember, I'm posting another video because there's more news to cover. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, peace, guys.